my goodness. Shh, don't tell anyone, but this episode is really amazing. Like, don't share it. Definitely don't subscribe, and don't listen to the whole thing because you won't get to be the same old person you always are if you do. You're gonna be forced through a portal into a new universe of possibilities. Ken Cox is a true gift to humanity.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was a solid 20 minutes after we stopped recording where we hung with him that I was thinking to myself, shoot, we could have just kept recording. Just a beautiful, very experienced human being. And when I say experienced, the highs and the lows, and a lot of
There's
consciousness involved with unwrapping all that.
and there's going to be a bunch of different links in the show notes and in the chat and various things. So please budget some time to actually explore those because there's a rich treasure of opportunity in what is contained in what Ken is up to, and you owe it to yourself to reap the rewards of that possibility for yourself. So much love from the Moped Outlaws. Enjoy the episode.
Sis, hallo?
Blijven.
Stuur zeker wegen them.
Two outlaws on the lam, taking the back roads through America.
You can't drink enough coffee for this show.
And now it's time for Monday Madness with the Moped Outlaws, Greg and Mark.
And we're live with Ken Cox, who is a dynamic, accomplished president and hostarian, and the host of Clicks and Bricks podcast, an entrepreneur. He's built a successful career creating happy workplaces, critical IT services, and from a small business to a global 500. He's done so many things, including writing Reclaim Sobriety, the 12 Rounds of Sobriety. He's also got a workshop for me later today about tongue-tiedness and how to deal with that. Welcome, Ken.
How you doing? I don't know if I can help with tongue-tied or not.
I would, yeah. Well, that's the way it goes. And you're also a stand-up comedian with Cox Out. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a journey that I started recently, just this year, and it's been a ton of fun. It was an accident. I'm happy to get into that happy accident as well. It's been one of the more challenging things in my life, but definitely one of the most satisfying and fulfilling things that I've ever done. So,
when your blog yesterday, you wrote about how you started writing on stage in the middle of a routine. So I love that myself. So I'm an affinity with you in the way that you go about doing things, as well as how you do your hair.
Oh, thank you very much. The set or this set? I shaved this morning. It was a nice ritual.
Yeah, I love it. And you're also a creativity coach. What's that all about?
The creativity coach is something I'm just really getting into. I've spent the last few weeks out in Hollywood with some pretty amazing people trying to figure out, what I'm best at and then work on that. And fortunately and fortunately for me, in 1999, I left the entertainment industry and I went into IT. By 2021, I was a co-founder in a data center company. And I've been the president of that company since 2017, but I was the vice president of that company for many years. And if you're following technology at all, you're going to realize really quick that data centers have sold out globally across the planet. So as far as my industry goes, although I've been in the trenches for a very, very long time by myself and struggling to get out of that with the collapse of the coal industry and some other things, we suffered through all of the ups and the downs, the dot-com bubble, the crypto thing, all of it survived. My liver disease, all of those things to get to the point to where I literally feel like the prettiest boy at the prom right now. So wonderful for that. Unfortunately, I don't believe that Hosterian, the name that we started in 2001, is going to survive this current transition in life. And we're trying to decide who we're going to partner with next. We've got some great people that we're looking at. for our next evolution. And what that means for me is that I'm going to have a lot more time on my hands and a lot more fun. And because I've been in the trenches so long, dealing, in 1999, I uploaded mastercard.com to the internet. I was at Washington University in 1996 when we were literally putting the very first animated GIFs on the internet, right? With the IMG space SRC. I've got to see all these things, and I've been able to work with companies like Monsanto and Bayer, the largest companies on the planet, all the way down to my local pipe shop, right? And I've had this whole gamut. And, I've been a digital creator since 1999. And the kids today are like, how do you make money do this? I'm like, I've had over 100 million in sales in my career, right? So, and how do I do that is that I connect a lot of dots, and I have a very creative process that I've developed, the ideas framework that I'm going to be launching here soon, and how to turn AI into your superpower into today. And so teaching people that creative process on how to containerize creativity and feed it to AI to help you create and give you superpowers. And that's really the time that I've been spending out west seems to be the best use of my abilities to share with the world to create the most amplification as possible.
So you're literally going to help everyone become better creators in whatever realm that works.
Yeah, and it goes to my ideas framework, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's basically intent, dump, repeat, submit, right? Like, and at breakneck speed. Power of AI has given us. I can deploy.
You can really flood the zone.
I can take one concept, right? I can write a joke. I can make a T-shirt. I can make a hoodie. I can make a song. I can make a poem. I can do all of these things with just one piece of concept right now. And I can now, for the very first time, a person can have an idea and explain that in so many different pieces of art to the world in a way that we've never had before. And it's just, we're in the digital art revolution, and I want my name to be part of that.
So we are definitely in a revolution. And I'm wondering if just as when cars started hitting the roads and horse and buggies became obsolete, are we looking at potentially an individual who devoted their whole life to being a poet? And that was their passion, their craft, their all, like the Vincent van Gogh of painting,
Yeah.
And now what I just heard you say is you have this one idea, and it could be T-shirts, it could be a poem, it could be a song, it could be. How does the individual who's grinding away as an individual fit into this digital revolution, or are they going to be a horse and buggy?
There's not going to be a whole lot of valuable things in the future if we play it right. If we let ego and fear continue to lead our systems, then we're going to have dismay, this constant, we're going to be trying to spiral our loop up, and it's just going to keep crashing on us, right? And we're going to have to keep building. It's going to be this constant grind. We can design the constant grind if we want to now, right? If as a society we choose, hey, I think that humans should stay on a capitalistic system without any change, and we're always going to grind, and we're always going to compete, and we're always going to do that stuff. But I think there's probably better ways to do it, and I don't know what those are. That's not my job. My job is to help people put different ideas together and open their minds and think differently so that we can come up with the right solutions. Overcome the ego and the fear and start living from spirituality and love and create really, really cool systems that we can all grow together with. And, I know humanity, and I know we're getting ready to fracture in a way that we haven't seen on our planet.
Yeah, what I'm hearing in your answer, which I think is beautiful, is so often, myself included, we're looking at the framework, the outer structure, and putting what's going to happen with that? And what you're saying is, no, let's look inside. Let's deal with that first. And then whatever structure's coming from that is going to be a beautiful, uplifting thing.
Yeah, we always say as above, so below, but it goes the other way too. As within, so above. So, I mean, it's whatever we want to create. And I think we're going to have a lot of fracture in this next stage. We're going to have people that are refusing to go. They're going to be creating their own economies. They're going to stay on this fiat system, and they're not even going to be aware that there's another way to do things, right? And that's okay. And they'll live that life and they'll grind. And there's going to be, just like today, there's all these different societies on our planet, and they.
What's the primary alternative?
I can go party in Hollywood, and I can then go to East St. Louis at an open mic and live with literally, hang out with people that live on the streets and see that full chasm and understand that they don't even know the other side exists. And this lower end side is starting to hate everybody above them, is what I'm seeing when I'm out in the world, and it's getting scary. And I do it every day of my life, just about. So
do you think it's also going the opposite way, where the ones that have everything are getting very frightened of those have-nots? And so this,
not the people I'm around.
Okay.
I mean, it's a very, open, compassionate. We want to lead from a place of compassion and not damage, right? It's so clear that labor is going to be democratized in 2 years. I bought my first humanoid robot yesterday. I ordered it from 1x.tech. $500 a month. It comes pre-programmed with 75 jobs. And if it doesn't know how to do something, they put the headset on and they train it how to do it for you. And then now it knows how to do that job. So my janitorial's gone for $500 a month. I've got a guy that'll rack servers. We're already to the point today. If you work on a computer 100%, your job's 100% automatable.
Got it.
And
you talked about this framework of, if people want to grind still in that old framework, they can. What's the thing that's in your mind that's sort of outside that framework? What's the alternative that you're dreaming of being part of? What does that look like? How do you view it?
I mean, I view it a lot of different ways, right? I view it as what I know that I can physically do as a man that lives on this planet. And I have the structures that I have to live within, and I have to think about, I have to live a world where I don't get shot for the things that I say, which is now a very real world scenario. And, and I would hate to be shot for the things that I say and have people cheer about it, have my daughter hear those words, right? So, opening the world to language, I think the way to do that is create values for what is, how do we talk about things? How can we debate, right? I think we might need a new debate system. I don't know that the old way of doing things is going to work, because what we don't know, there's never been a human trial. If you put a human with 100, or if you put 100 humans with 150 IQ with a person with 100 IQ and let them start communicating for the next 6 months, what happens to that person? I think they become more open, more available. And unfortunately, when you start learning about deep learning, IT, and neuroscience and those kinds of things, you realize that they can just program the humans too if we want to. So, who knows?
Well, some of that's already going on through media, right? We've seen that with What's It Schmutz Analytica, and where we're at now with
right, and that's a
coercive social media, right?
That's a capitalistic approach to social programming at a global scale.
Right. Now, so what's the distinction? Like you've said, this thing, there's a systemic thing. You've mentioned capitalism a couple of times, and there's an alternative. And the description of your alternative, you didn't present an economic model. What you talked about was sociological stuff and how people relate to each other. And I'm with you on the Charlie Kirk thing. Like, you should be able to say whatever the hell it is, especially in America, and have people be curious about the misunderstanding they might be having with you, as opposed to want to kill you, right?
Curiosity. You got to build that.
Yeah, got it. And I'm working on that myself. So you're in good company. We're in good company with each other. But I think that part of that is that the social media, social engineering is algorithmically designed to foster rage and polarity.
It's not
No?
algorithmically. We
Okay.
programmed it with our weaknesses. We
Got it.
programmed it with our fear and our ego. The humans didn't program the algorithm that we're looking at right now. AI did, based on what it believes we want to see, because that's what we look at.
Got it. So we're
Because
doing it
we're
to
fearful
ourselves.
and
It's
we're
not some
scared.
big guy behind the curtain. It's us doing it to ourselves.
No, this is the machine that has mirrored us, right? Just like when you look at a fractured human and see the broken pieces of them in you, you love them, right? This is our creation. It's just following what we've taught it.
What keeps coming to mind, because this, what you're just saying, Ken, has come up in the past 48 hours. I keep thinking of when I'm on the highway and there's an automobile accident. I want to see it. And I'm not coming from a place of empathy. I'm coming from that spark of excitement. Like, oh, what's that? What's that?
Yeah, because that's unhealthy dopamine. And humans, a human today loves dopamine. It's our biggest joy, and like it feels like love, it feels like sex, it feels like heroin, it feels like cocaine, it feels like everything. It's
Snickers
amazing,
bar,
right? And then we don't get it, and we're like, oh, that's amazing, and we don't exercise healthy dopamine consumption, and we don't know how to do it, right? Because cold plunges are hard, and boxing's hard, and I don't need to. We bred away this desire for winning, and I thought the other day I was really sad. I was at my wife's house, which is a weird thing to say right out of the gate. And I was hanging out with my son, and she was out doing whatever. And I'm sitting there, and we had a Belgian Malinois, beautiful dog. And I sat there, and I know that I sound like I'm bashing capitalism. I love capitalism. I think it's the greatest game on planet Earth. I just don't think it has a place not every game.
Very,
There's
very
other
good
games to play. And I sit there and I watch my dog eating his kibble, and I'm like, how long did we starve a wolf to make him eat this fucking garbage and live in my house? It's one of the most cruel things that I could possibly imagine. It's no different than our government saying this flour will put you in a box for the rest of your life. It's ridiculous, and it's the systems that we have, and they have to change, because the one thing I know about power, if it's more powerful than you and you try to control it, it will consume you and destroy you. And we're dealing with the power that's way greater than we are, and I don't know that our leaders respect it in that way.
So name that power. What are you talking about?
Matter, energy, and data.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate that. That really informs the perspective.
Or Father, Son, Holy Ghost, whatever you want. I don't care.
Well, there's an intersection there, right? Like the one can describe the other metaphorically, right?
So desire, you've got an existence, and I don't know what that is. And I spent a lot of time debating that in my head.
Well, I see you and I very aligned in the ideas around capitalism, because what I sense from what you're saying, the subtext I get, is that free enterprise, self-determination, creating from the individual capacity to meet the market, that's a really potent way to motivate people. And I think it's been clear that that's really valuable as we just look at the past 120 years of cultural evolution and business evolution. What's not clear is how predatory and vertically monopolized and horizontally monopolized systems got the better of everybody. And how can we break that up without having to run into the trap of socialism or communism? Like, how do we get better capitalism? Because right now, capitalism's kind of oppressive for some people.
Yeah, I think the first thing that we have to figure out is, how do we make everybody safe and comfortable? How do we make sure that everybody has food? How do we make sure that everybody has shelter? And, I would have fallen on the right side most of my life. I'm an anarchist by far, but if I were to fall on one side, I'd be like, hey, you got to earn your keep. And if you're not willing to climb the hill, I'll put a hand out to help you. But at some point, it's slippery shit. I got to go. Right. That's kind of my mentality in life. And I want to help as many people as I can. That mentality's been lost somewhere in society. And we chase to the center too much. And we've been training people to follow the rules, live bell to bell.
There's an element of bootstrapping in what you're saying, but it's not actually bootstrapping,
I
because
love
that's isolationist, right? You're actually saying that if we examine Darwin's work, cooperative networks actually function better than just dog eat dog, kill each other off until there's nothing left does, right? And that's, if you read the book, it's actually in there like that. He mentions cooperative frameworks way more than he does in, the evolutionary ones. So that's an interesting take for me. It's like, I'm climbing the hill. If you're puffing and puffing next to me and you're carrying grain for everybody too, I'm going to do my best to help you, and until you quit, right? Until you decide that you want to sit on your couch and watch me take everybody's grain up the hill.
Right. And this is where the moment the communication becomes so vital, right? Because does that man have the core values? Does he know how to stand in frame? Does he know how to move forward? Does he have the determination? Does he have the belief? Does he know what he's working for? Right? If he doesn't know any of those things, then he's just kind of floating in the wind and he'll give up. But if you can sit with him for a moment, understand where he's at, and explain, hey, this is our job to carry this up. And if we lose polarity on this planet, it's going to stop spinning. Right. So,
yeah.
We need the time to stop and do that with each other. And the skill sets that we have right now aren't there.
Got it. It seems like a lot of the causal elements of this phenomenon that we're talking about rest at the fatherless family unit that kind of fell out of the late 60s. I think there's a lot of, abdication of that responsibility, and that to some degree, men abandoning their families and their children is an issue with regards to this, because we don't have that example being set.
I don't disagree with you, but I don't know that I agree with you.
I can hear that. I can see that in your expression. It's a
I
worthy.
believe that the problem inherently lies in the institutionalized systems that we've created. That we've monopolized violence to a core set of people, and we've let them inherently make our rule set and determine who lives free on our planet and who doesn't. I don't believe. There's a whole lot there. So that I think the structure that we have is not a compassionate structure in any way, shape, or form. I have a unique perspective, right? I was in special school district from first grade till 7th grade. So, and I was awarded the state from 7 to 18. So I think I have a unique perspective on authoritative structures.
Got it. So how are you sitting with the current way that things are moving in terms of ICE and the big daddy sort of movement that seems to be in our society?
I think, America should be a melting pot. But I think it should be, I think we lost the melt, right? We're a pot that's not melting for some reason. I don't know why we're not melting, but we're not. We're staying segregated. And I think some people are and some people aren't.
Got it.
The thing that I hate right now that just drives me absolutely insane is that, I can hear John Adams thumping in the coffin right now because due process is gone. And I think that's the line where I'm at. No human on this planet should have the right to judge, jury, execution another human ever for any circumstances, no matter what. I should have that trial, and that we fought so hard to break that oppression and create these rules. And blowing up ships in the ocean because they're drug dealers, I think, is an international crime without due process. And I think that our UN is not doing a great job there. So I see these things happening on a global scale, and I try not to be a conspiracy theorist, but the fact that we're blowing up fentanyl boats, and then 60% of the internet goes down for 6 hours conveniently, and then pops right back up, and there's no really good explanation of that. Then Microsoft goes down the next day, and I know how easy it is to do those things because I've been here since the beginning.
Right.
I know what strings to pull to collapse the internet. It's not that hard. And now I see again this really cool thing, this playground that I've had since the age of 7 years old. The only way that I could communicate to the world was my computer. And I see it right now without changing from ego to love. I see it being taken away from mankind. If we cannot manage our IT more responsibly, I see no choice but the governments to take it away from mankind. And that to me would be stealing my voice, all of my senses that allow me to communicate to another human.
All right, but let's also bring into this conversation now your stand-up, which is not IT, and it is absolutely communication. And one of the things I love about stand-up is I feel one of its key components at its core is the responsibility of the jester to say to the king, hey, fuck you, you idiot. You're being a jerk. And you say it in an entertaining way so it's palatable even to the king.
Absolutely. And I think there's two jobs on this. The last two jobs on this planet are the data center operator, when the robot puts the last server in the data center and says, hey, buddy, good job. Have a nice day. And then the court gesture. I think those are the last two positions left on planet Earth. And I think that connection between two humans or 100 humans or 100,000 humans is going to be the biggest asset on the planet.
Yeah. So I think even in this realm of IT and the atomic propulsion and it's growing, there's still the human voice and creativity that you get a stage and a mic and there's power there.
Absolutely. I think IT should be our mirror, and it should help us grow. And I think, for the next 10 years, I think it's going to be a parasitic relationship, or I hope it's a parasitic relationship where AI needs us to grow. And then I hope we evolve into a symbiotic relationship for the rest of mankind, because that is the only solution for utopia.
Gosh, now here's a wonderful, this again, coming back into that element of the consciousness starting within, because we're also in this realm where our youth are saying, hey, your ideas of what a male and female is they're two zeros and ones. It's way more infinite than that. And we're going to explore that. Yeah. And you're getting elders mostly who are getting angry and upset. I'm not fucking doing that. You're born with
that's ego and fear.
Right. But in that space, before consciousness can bloom, how do we hold everyone who's potentially a Nazi, who's potentially a tree-hugging, mushroom-taking California nut? And how do we hold this world compassionately and empathetically?
Greg, last night, I was at Helium, did a stand-up bit at Helium, and then I went and I met a dear, I'm not going to say his name or even how we know. I'm just going to say a dear friend, a man that I love. I've known him since I was a child. This man is a murderer. He's killed a lot of people. He enjoys it. He's a Marine, and he's a gunner, 5-inch drone operator now. And I have to hold him, knowing, and he knows he doesn't want to be on this planet. And he knows he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. He knows that he sold his life, and he knows all those things. And you just have to hold him. And I have to be able to do that and not spiral with him. I had to find a place of pure self-love, enjoyment, and centeredness, knowing that I can walk this planet and not be intoxicated by that kind of energy and spiral out on my own, and let them know that it'll be okay, and let them collapse into me and be there for them. And I don't know another way to do that than that. And because I can tell you 5 years ago, we're exactly where we would have been, right? I would have been fighting with them, and we would have done all kinds of crazy shit, regardless of how solid my frame was at that moment, until now that I have a frame that was solid enough to hold that kind of energy with me, with another man, and look at him and say, hey man, you need to put the fucking bottle down. And
All right, so you're talking about frame, and now I'm understanding clearer your concept of framing and being in frame. What are some of your daily practices that you do to remain strengthened in your frame?
the biggest one that got me to start getting there, I would say the biggest spiritual thing that I can say, I did this and had a spiritual moment awakening, was fasting, a 72-hour fast. So I do now I'm doing a quarterly 72 and a weekly 24, right? And that keeps me pretty grounded. It keeps me hungry. It reminds me of what hunger feels like. It gets me in that world of the word that I keep calling it is my restrained monster. I like that. We go by gladiators at our gym. Like, I like the gladiator way. It's stripped of all my emotional armor and just walking this planet. That was a big one for me. And then, I do the cold plunges to connect my body and stuff like that. Diet, exercise. I'm a boxer, so I'm with the kids regularly. I have a set of core values for my Box STL gladiators that we read loud and proud every day. Stuff like, don't talk about it, be about it, always be ready, treat every person you interact with like you would like to treat them. The last three of those are Box STL is a synonym for world class. You'll operate like it in everything that you do. Imagine where you want to be in life and believe that you can get there, right? So those are the things that we talk, and the self-talk that we constantly just drive into these kids, because teaching a 14-year-old boy to stand in his underpants in a gym in East St. Louis, one of the, especially a white boy, one of the most violent cities in the country, get weighed in, put on a uniform, walk down a crowd while he's getting booed by half the crowd, right? Get in a ring and fight, lose, hug his opponent, shake his other coach's hand, and walk out of the ring with his head high, knowing that he just did something and lost that only 1% of the world's ever going to do. And to be damn proud of that I had to come up with a system for them. And when it clicked to me that system, self-identification, is everything, I was like, oh shit, I can reprogram anybody, anytime, anyway, by just identifying the characters of the thing, that the mask that they want to wear, creating the values around it, and teaching them how to identify as that being. And if you do that, what I'm proving right now is that I can create a set of core values for a comedian, and I can say, tomorrow I'm going to start being a comedian and go out and do it. And either I'm an extraordinary human, or self-identity and dedication and discipline are the key to everything.
Wow, it sounds like what you've identified is the full spectrum capacity that humans have for being integral in their environment. Like this idea that we are one-dimensional, or we become an identity and that's who we are, we're trapped with that. Those are all fallacies. And that the reality is that we are dynamic human beings with a full range. And then the idea is, well, what is it that can be brought into our experiential realm that will remind us of who we are deeply, and what practices can we engage that will bring us forward, right? So who and what happened 5 years ago that brought you? What was the training you received? Who popped your top, so to speak?
Ooh, the universe, baby. Oh. Georgia jail. I got ran over by a semi. I was born homeless. I
of the above.
Amnesia.
So did you have 24-hour amnesia or 8-hour amnesia at one point?
No, I have. I was just diagnosed about 4 years ago with situational amnesia and dissociative disorder.
Got it.
When I was at birth, I was homeless, moved into a bar. So I lived in a bar for the first year of my life, and I had a hernia, and they didn't have the money to give me surgery. So my first 6 months of life were just significant pain in what most people would call a torture chamber. Right, I lived in a bar as a child, as an infant. Right, so the music was loud, playing all the time, parties, all that stuff. Overcame all that stuff. Right, I got violent when I was 7. The one thing that happened to me at the age of 7, which is really, really important to my story, I became a very violent person. My mom lost custody of me. My name was Kenny Schneider then. I became violent, and my mom lost custody of me. She was married to my stepdad at the time, my stepdad at the time. Through that session of situations, the outcomes became Kenny needs a computer at all times, right? He always has to have a keyboard, and he has to write every day. Those are the things that he has to do. So I've been doing this for my whole life, right? This is what I've been doing. This is my therapy. This keeps me sane. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me out of, it mostly keeps me out of trouble. Funny enough, my mom and my stepdad adopted me at the age of 13, and my name became Cox. So oddly enough, I was ward of the state from 7 to 13, and they adopted me as a family at 13, and my name changed, which is a wildly complex story to tell people, but that's what happened. They lost custody of me about 6 months later because I borrowed somebody's car and I had too much flour in my trunk. But that's a whole nother story. So then I was a ward of the state until the age of 18.
Wow.
And
Got it.
so that's kind of where my institutionalism.
So resilience has been a practice, involuntary practice for a long time. And now you've found your way to embracing it and actually moving into it with conscious intention from a place of love, right? The recognition that you're extremely resilient because of the nature of your humanity. And then once you recognize that in yourself and you feel compassion for yourself, then you have the capacity then to see that resilience in others and see them on wherever they are in their journey, and then maybe help them de-brick one aspect of it in the moment so that they can have a glimmer of their own potentiality, their own legacy of human behavior.
Thank you for seeing me, Mark.
Thank you for showing up, Ken.
I'm wondering two things. One, with your mom, did you ever feel like you had a mom in your life?
Oh, my mom is a rock star, man. We grew up in violence. Like, my grandmother, I love her to death. She was in prison as a child, institutionalized for her thoughts, and my mom and my grandma are really big parts of my life. My mom, for all of her PTSD, she is a brutal rape survivor. She is living with the guilt that she accidentally ran over a kid in her 20s, and no capacity to deal with any kind of this trauma resolve on her own. Right. The technology that we have today to deal with that kind of stuff is far beyond what we had back then. Hook them up to some car batteries and shock them until they're
Right. Or
and
stick a
I
needle
come
in
from
their-
that generation of, I'm the last of the generation that remembers institutions and electrocution for menopause and thought processes. We live in a world today that aliens are talked about every day, but I also know that the FBI broke into my uncle's house and seized everything because he was saying he was talking with aliens, and he was institutionalized for that, right? But today this is just common. So I also come from a place that my childhood was said, you don't talk about these things, you don't talk about your spirituality, you don't talk about all of this energy stuff, because if you do, they'll institutionalize you and shock your brain and put big holes in it. Luckily for me, when I was 19, I got hit by an 18-wheeler and I had some brainstem swelling. So I was a little different for a while. And that's what caused that's what we believe caused the situational amnesia.
And does that recur for you? Do you periodically just blank?
No, no, not at all. So if anything within my normal life, I'm pretty solid on. There's just things that I don't know. I know that the conversation that I remember is, were you wearing a seatbelt? No. Why? I don't think they're comfortable. Well, neither is a halo. I thought
Right.
I was dead. Right. Well, and I can remember her starting to measure and draw the lines, but I don't ever remember having a halo on. I don't remember taking it off. Right. I remember that conversation, and then everything from that moment until 18 months later, I have no recollection of.
Got it. So you're not speaking of the metaphorical spiritual halo. You're talking about the surgical halo that prevents you from dying after you've had a major spinal and cranial injury.
Yeah. So I don't recall that being on me, and I'm assuming that that's a fairly clunky thing for a while. I have no idea how my collarbone was shattered, but my left collarbone's completely been shattered, and I have nobody knows. My mom doesn't. Nobody knows. So there's just these things that I have evidence of happening in my life, and I have no idea how they happened.
Wow.
Got it. And you've found your way, it seems, to seeing the light of humor in all of it. And that's based on a foundation of intentional practice, right?
So the transient behavior that my mind starts to have when I get into deep thought about AI, intelligence, thought process, how the neural networks work, I start to get to a point that I start to lose grasp of reality. And when I started writing comedy, I've written my whole life to get out my stuff, right? Mm-hmm. For me to get it out. And I've never written with a specific intent other than Reclaim Sobriety and a couple of books that I did. I guess I have written with intent, but it was for a project. Comedy's like this thing, this breath of, I don't even know what it is. It's this big thing that I'm creating in real time. I'm creating an ecosystem, and it's like, now I'm walking around looking for funny. Like, I'm like, what's funny? How can I say this? How can I reframe this? Right? Oh, I need to talk. I need to have the world talking about race openly and honestly. How do I get that done? Right? And how can I break some of those barriers down so that we can just, man, if we stop talking, we're going to fight. I know. Yeah. I know that.
Right, we got to talk to each other. We're already starting to fight on certain levels.
Yeah.
Right?
So, yeah. And I don't want to fight. I'm better at it than you probably. And I'm done with it. So,
yeah, most people who are very good at violence recognize that it's not a good option.
Yeah. So, and I see it, this conflict, this aggression all the time. And I'm like, gosh, man, if we could we now have the smartest things on the planet. There's other ways to think.
Yeah. Plus, that is energy. And if we can alchemize that anger energy, we could have an atomic plant of creativity.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we have to have that. I don't know what it was like 400 years ago, or even I would imagine living as a Native American 5,000 years ago in America would be phenomenal, right? Like, we're going to gather, we're going to grow, and everybody gets to eat. And I'm sure there's some kind of political hierarchy, but it was kind of like, dummy, don't do that again. And it was quick. Right. But I think we can get back to something cool like that.
A new version, a new global tribal culture.
But with robots doing all of our work.
Got it.
Why does anybody, if you want to work, do whatever you want to do, live your life doing the thing that makes you the happiest in that moment. And if it stops making you happy, stop doing it. Do something different. But we live in a world where in 10 years from now, there's no reason. There's no reason that humans have to do labor they don't want to do.
Right. I can feel myself leaning into the imagination of the future, turning into that Wall-E world where people are just in this floating chair with a big gulp and a TV screen, and they're just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And
the planet's trashed.
right. And so
And yeah.
for like part of what I'm experiencing in this moment is I have a personal responsibility to catch myself in that imaginative state and change it.
Yeah, if we stay in fear and ego, that will happen.
Right.
Because I'll be afraid, and if second place is, and not that second place is okay. Second
Yeah.
place should be celebrated, right? Like,
Right.
how I came in second, that's celebrated,
Well-
not a, oh, I came in second, so take something away from first. No,
Or
that doesn't
even
work.
like you were saying with the boxer, I should be able to celebrate the fact that I got into the ring at all, even
Yes.
though I lost that fight. And that's that fight. There's tomorrow's fight to still go in the ring with.
Yeah, and if I don't want to, and if I want to change my discipline, and I want to go to comedy, I can go to comedy. People they're so attached to, I'm a plumber, I'm an accountant, I'm a journeyman, I'm a mechanic, right? They put that title on, and they think that's all that they are.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, because that's what they've been brainwashed to believe, right?
Yeah.
You're going to go to school, you're going to get this degree, you're going to invest in being this thing, and this thing is going to be what you are, and it's not. It's so far from what the hell you are.
Right.
That's just your job and your day, and you could be anything you want. And if we can start teaching the kids today, then our transition will be less bumpy.
How are you
So
doing?
How do we wake the consciousness of people who are currently not economically solvent? What do we shift in their consciousness? Feed them, give them food?
Well, first, we have to give them security first.
Right. So
Right? If you're not
and housing.
secure, if you're not food secure, and you're not emotionally secure,
And health
we need to
secure,
give them.
I'd say.
We need to figure out a different system than this highly segregated religious system, right? I believe in all the Bibles. I think they're all beautiful. I love Jesus. I prefer walking with Buddha. And I think the devil lives everywhere. And I'm using this language for that person. I think where he lives in every religion is the falsity that religion's the only path to the universe, source, God, whatever you want to call it.
I heard your systemic answer, but I'm actually asking one-to-one. Like when you're with a man whose consciousness does not imagine that they have the capacity to move into a greater level of productivity and abundance for themselves, where do we start with that man or that woman?
I'm going to risk sounding like an asshole here.
Good. I do that all the time.
First of all, men like Andrew Tate, I think, are little bitches, right? And it's not an alpha frame that I'm talking about,
right?
But it's understanding how to stand in your full masculinity and allow another man to fall into that fully, or another woman fall into that fully, and let them know that you're here and you can hold that wild fucking energy for them. And hopefully you have somebody that does that for you.
Who's Andrew Tate? I don't even know who that is.
We don't need to go into it. Let's not give him any more energy than what's the people can look it up.
Right,
I think you're right. There's this aspect of what we'll call father energy, this powerful masculine holding that you're talking about, which then creates the space for the natural function of the being to rise again, right? Because that's our natural function, is to actually gain some footing and go and make some kind of mud pie, or, build a bridge, design a freaking robot, or, a new crop type. Like, let's take chocolate beans and apples and make a choco apple, right?
Yes. Yeah. Everything, right? When, in a world of algorithm, how do you beat the algorithm? Feed it chaos. And I think we need to do that to humanity. We've fed humanity singular input, singular output. That's what we've been feeding humanity, right? Kindergarten, get to 12th grade, become a janitor, trash man, whatever. Right. You want to do something different than that? Go to college, become a communications person, businessman, executive. You want to do doctor, lawyer, business executive, do it again, right? Your singular paths. And for some professions, that's needed. But for the average human, I think that's going to be destruction in this next phase.
Wow. So there's this group that call themselves accelerationists. Do you know the group? What I mean by that?
I'm in a group called Expansionists, so I'm assuming
Okay.
it's similar.
It's probably not, because the idea of the accelerants is that they they see society needing to break down before it can be healed. And so they are into this kind of destructive chaos, like
Oh, like an
burn it
anarchist.
down kind of, right? And
Right.
so
There are scenarios that I would agree that scorched earth is the best policy. I think that which creates the least pain for the least amount of people and the most good for the most amount of people is what we should do, but under the guise of thou shalt not do no harm.
right.
And I think that needs to come first.
Scorched earth is kind of very harmful, isn't it?
There's other ways, right?
Yeah.
It's the lazy way. That's
Yeah.
the fear way.
Right.
That's the fear way. I don't have the frame to stand through the shitty parts of this deal to get to the good parts.
Yes. You know what? One of my favorite personal phrases in life is I want to be with people who are willing to stay in the oven when it gets hot.
Yeah.
Or stay at the table. Yeah.
I want people that are going to
fucking
run into the oven if they know I'm in there and falling down.
Yeah.
That's who I want on my team. I don't want, we can do that. I want hell yes energy in my team. I don't want anything else.
Because I want to go through whatever process it is creating the heat. I don't want to escape it. I want to get to the other side.
Yeah. It's the buffalo and the cow, right? The cow runs from the storm and gets beat up by it all day. And the buffalo runs into it and he gets to enjoy the spoils of the wet dew and the flowers and everything on the other side of the storm faster. And he just doesn't get beat up by the hail.
All right. This is fantastic. I'm really grooving on this. And I want to shift the energy a little bit. So here we go.
Okay.
It feels like, as a creativity coach, you have a lot to offer. So what is that launching look like? How are you bringing this new initiative in, and how can people get connected to it?
Yeah. So right now, my web development team is they're redoing kencox.com. That's where you're going to be able to go. And if you want to get one of the packages that I'm offering, and I'm doing some really cool stuff, like if you want to come out to St. Louis for a day and, do coaching for the whole day, and we'll really get you through my ideas framework, and we'll write you a 4-minute bit, and we'll go do an open mic that night together and, get you through that hurdle. If you need, if you're looking at a new business model, something I did for, I was just working with a vaporizer company, a guy that is really into, I think it's Dynotap vaporizers, really cool way to do vaporizing of cannabis flower. And he needed a business idea. And we sat there for a while and we came up with, who his market was going to be. And we came up with a really cool name of Wispy Hits. And we're going to teach women in transition how to utilize cannabis as medicine, because they learned how to smoke weed from their douchebag boyfriend. And they don't really know how to do it. Right. And we came up with the brand and we wrote some songs and, we did all those things and we used my process to do that. And so that's the process that I'm going to be teaching for. If you want to do stand-up, or if you're an executive that needs a new idea, you need a new product, you need a new offer. I think creativity is something, when I look at the market, I'm like, oh man, there's nobody doing this. And really at the core of what I do, I'm an okay creator. Right. But what I can take is my expansive of different input, bring it down into a creative idea and push it out.
I'm asking for a personal reason, but you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation that you're in Hollywood a bit and that you were in the entertainment industry earlier in your life and you're sort of re-entering it.
Correct. One
of the huge challenges for anyone attempting is the financing. Is that a realm you're also comparable in and able to coach in?
Yes. Being a data center operator, being a self-funded startup data center company has taught me more about finance from, $100 million deals down to $100,000 gym. Right. I've got a great $250,000 a year gym. Right. It's a wonderful little mom and pop shop. I'm so passionate about Main Street America for our country and for our kids. Right. Our kids need to have strong, influential men and women in small businesses running to take them under their wing and show them entrepreneurship, show them creation. I think that's such a wildly important component of America that I don't know the economics behind it in 10 years, but I know that it's needed for community and growth.
Is your gym self-sustaining right now? Meaning financially, like do you need to bolster the finances of your gym in order for it to exist? So it is, because I heard you saying earlier, like the kids that you're helping, a lot of them are economically challenged.
Oh yeah, but we have world champion boxers in our community that Devin Alexander is a wonderful example. He's a 3-time world champion. Right. So, and he comes to the gym and I just went to him and like, hey man, you know, we charge $500 for our gladiator program. It's a 4-week program. But we teach kids how to start training to box. Right. And then outside of that, all of our other programs are just $100 a month for unlimited coaching. Right. They just come to the gym. We've got right now about 500 students. It's a really beautiful little business. Right. And I said, hey, you know, some of the times I'll fund this stuff, but you know, the ebbs and flows of business. Right. I said, if there's a kid that comes to me and he needs it, and I got to pay my coaches, I got to pay rent, I got to pay lights.
Right.
This is economic. This isn't right. So will you start a scholarship fund for me? And if a kid needs to have the money, will you pay for it? Yes. Like that's how easy the conversation is when you get rid of the fear of, oh, I need the money.
Right.
Like, oh, I need the money. Instead of saying, oh, you know, will you help me with this money? Say, hey, I've got this kid that needs this training. Like,
yeah.
And your business is not this if your business is this transaction, how much money can I get out of you? You're failed in the next generation. That's not going to work.
You know, I'm also hearing in this conversation, you're flipping the need is a component. It's going to exist. Need is going to exist. If we come at it with fear and victimhood, then we're entrapping everybody. If we just come at it very plainly, here's a need, can you help? The yes or no is very easy for that individual.
Yes.
And then you can move on based on whatever answer they give.
Yeah. But kicking rocks and, hey, I've got this idea. Can you help me with it? And, you know, I just need a whole bunch of money and it'll solve all my problems and I'll have this business. Well, every business owner knows that you're just going to piss off all their money and not do anything.
Yeah.
Like, so all these people that come and like, oh, I just need the money and I'll get better. I'm like, no, you need to show me that you can do it first.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same in entertainment, right? That's why I'm hitting these mics. Well, first, I love the mics. It keeps me sane. I guess the disadvantage of growing up in a bar, it is literally my favorite place in the whole planet to be.
That's brilliant.
You know, I mean, at 4 years old, I remember lining up bar stools and laying on them and taking naps. And it's like, you know, waking up and grabbing some bar nuts and taking snacks, right? That was my life.
Brilliant.
So
Brilliant.
Maybe that's just where I belong. And that's, you know, the training that I had to have then to be able to walk the path that I'm walking now. And it's, I couldn't be happier to walk this path right now with what's happening in technology and our society. You know, I've got a unique perspective on both right now. And I feel like this is a really great time to start sharing, you know, all of those things. And with what's happening with data centers, it looks like the financing is just going to take care of itself.
Well, one of the things
data centers in this world.
One of the things I've noticed about my own use of AI is that multiple LLMs are part of my approach, and I'm getting sick of paying for all of them. And I'm wondering if you have some insight as to whether that's going to consolidate and which way that will go.
So we're launching our AI this week. And it's primary.net. So primary.net in 1996 brought, you know, 56 baud modems or 14.9 baud modems to the market. 99, we brought 56 V-Flex modems to the market. 99, we also beat Southwestern Bell the market with DSL. We're the 5th fastest growing company in the country in 1999 before we sold to Empower. I went to work for Empower, and how we became Hosterian was in the .com bust. I was the e-commerce analyst at Hosterian. This is why I left the entertainment industry, because it was more fun to work on Twinkies.com than it was to tour with rock bands. Well, and paid better. So when the dot-com bubble burst and the VC money fell out, or no, the stock market fell out of the CLAC world, me and my partner Steve noticed a couple things in the market. The first thing that we noticed is, well, I currently manage 4,000 websites of corporate clients in a company that's going under, so we should ask them if we can just buy those customers and start a new company. Which we had already started Hosterian kind of under the table. We had a couple customers, so we had all the infrastructure already set up and ready to take on these customers. So it just was a beautiful storm. And that's how Hosterian was born. Our very next thought process was that Southwestern Bell was just destroyed by the government, and this idea of a CLAC where companies could be formed to create phone companies and lease lines from Southwestern Bell, that a ton of money was pouring into those, and these data centers were being built. We knew that they were being overbuilt, so we sat and relaxed for a little bit and let those people build them, XO, Verizon, and all that stuff, and use the capital expense. And we were able to walk into those data centers at pennies on the dollar after they filed bankruptcy. And I think that's going to happen again with AI data centers. So right. I'm kicking back right now, waiting for data center, that stuff to happen. I'm sorry, I forgot your question. I went off on a
My question was, as an end user, I have relationships with all of these. And
yeah.
am I
we're launching primary.net this week. And primary.net we're looking at as the pineal gland of the internet. It is your AI. So we've done a couple of different things. We've given it some common sense. We've told it to tell you its percentage of what it thinks is accuracy and why. So if it gives you an answer, it's going to say, hey, I think, this is 80% correct. And these are the parts that I think might not be. So it's just a more honest engine. Every night when you go to bed, it goes to bed and it trains on you. So this becomes your AI. At the age of 7, I was fortunate enough to start writing on a computer and typing. By the age of probably 14, I moved that to dictation and voice recordings. I have hundreds and hundreds of hours and thousands of pages of written that I've been able to feed my AI. And I want to be able to give that gift because my AI is almost me, right? So how do I give that? So I was able to train my AI of primary.net on my 43 years of data. And I know how special it is to have that partner in life through technology. And I want to help give that to the rest of the world. And my partner now, Chris Stryker, is a brilliant programmer that has been working on all this stuff. And primary.net's live right now. There's a wait list there for it. We're going to onboard very, very slowly and methodically. But, that's would be my choice is pick a pony and run with it. Some things that we're doing at Primary that are different. One, I believe that your thoughts should be your thoughts, right? I come from a world of witchcraft and stuff like that as influence of there. So you should be able to have private thoughts. So we have this inference agnostic model. Primary.net was a provider agnostic model, right? We didn't care. We connected with everybody so that you could take whatever path in the neural network of the internet that you wanted. We're doing inference agnostic. So whenever you send a thought to primary.net to think about with it, right now we're exclusively doing inference inside Google's cloud, but we're encrypting the package and coming back, right? But as we go, right now you can choose, do I want to inference on my local computer so that no corporation has access to my thought process with my AI, or I can process it in the primary cloud, which right now is just Google. But later you're going to be able to choose Google, Amazon, AWS, local, primary, all those different inference engines. So your thoughts, you choose who you're thinking with and where that thought process is happening and who owns that thought. I think.
Right. Is blockchain going to be technology integrated in this so that you can start tracing the originations of digital media?
Yes. I think that's an NFT, right? The first round of NFTs were just kind of clunky, digital art, right? Cyberpunks, crypto kitties, all this fun stuff. But, you know, if you look at what Gary Vee's done, you look at what Topps has done, there's some really good NFT projects that are out. Eminem and Tom McDonald NFT, right? Tom McDonald bought an NFT from Eminem. He bought a set of lyrics. So he was able to layer, he bought a beat from Eminem through an NFT and was able to lay lyrics on top of that. So now he can just say, hey, I have my songs produced by, or my music produced by Eminem, and show that there's, you know, digital provenance. Like digital provenance for tangible assets, that's going to be some cool shit. Like, I mean, think about if you had a digital ticket to Pink Floyd's first concert, what that would be worth today.
Well, to me, what's more important is an element of like Greg and Mark put something out into the world, and whether it was accidental or purposeful, we happened to take a piece of Ken Cox's creative realm, and Ken can come back and say, hey, look at this digital chain.
Yeah, I think intellectual property is going to have to change a lot.
Right.
Right. This concept of being super similar is just going to have to be accepted. There's only so many frequency a human ear can hear.
Well, and as you know from stand-up, you probably already have experience where you tell a joke and someone 2 minutes later is in that same realm. Like there is a collective consciousness going on.
I hear Netflix and chill out of 7 different comics every single night, but the punchline's different, right? Mine's Waymo and Blow.
Right. But in this digital realm, you can say that piece of digitized media, we can trace back to here's its source, which I think will also help with our mainstream news media. You know, like did Greg just throw out into the world, well, actually green caterpillars are controlling the White House, or, you know?
Yeah, so an interesting concept there. So you're talking about digital provenance and ownership, right? So the technology that allowed us to launch primary.net is called ISL Hub, and it's islhub.com. And what we've done, instead of we had to reimagine everything about how a file is managed. And we started with video. So, you know, one of the core concepts of the ideas framework is to constantly change your perspective, right? And look at things from different angles and constantly question. So it's like, oh, a file, how's that look? And we just looked at video to start. Okay, a video is 30 frames a second, right? And I'm storing every pixel behind you. Well, none of the pixels on that wall have changed in this whole video, right? There's some unique pixels in this video, like in here and in here in these lines. So we created anchors of pixels, and we created a new language called, I hate abbreviations, but basically it's instruction first file systems. So instead of storing the entire video, if I had to store the planet Earth in a smaller container, I wouldn't store the whole Earth. I would just create a map and store that map on how to recreate it. So that's what we did with video. And we get 1,800 times compression.
Wow. Right, because you're recognizing only that which changes, and that's the only thing that needs to be transmitted. But you haven't changed the packet and parity structure, right? It's still packets and parity bits, right?
No, we're just giving you an instruction file on how to rebuild it on the other side in real time.
Ah, so you're not even sending the actual data, you're sending the instructions.
We're sending instructions on how to put it back together.
So it's like a recipe.
This is not packing a Jeep. This is just enough essential parts to get it to the other side and rebuild it. And AI does that beautifully. So then we took that and we're like, oh, what if we did LLMs? And it's profound. And what if we did images? And it's really good with images. And what if we did PDFs? And oh, it's pretty good PDFs. And then now, since I start the file from instruction sets, I can put an instruction set in there to do a callback to the original golden master of that data that's stored in the blockchain. So I can have an error in a file that's not legitimate if I do instruction first. If I give you a map on how to create the file instead of the file itself. That's what's letting us, what we found is that when we distill and we use ISL for large language models, it's way cheaper for us to train. So we can actually train your model on you. And that's the birth of primary.net for AI.
Wow, this is revolutionary, Ken. And I don't know if everyone who hears this really gets where we're at with this conversation, but kudos to you, one, for exploring this amazing edge of the universe and for providing what's really a rich possibility for humanity in the things that you just described, right? We are breaking the ties to the rulers, if you will, the dominant forces in the marketplace that corral us. And now we are going to have the only limits be that which we show up with. In other words, if we are disciplined and put it out there and have an ongoing pattern and relationship and training regimen, eventually we will see the results. The dexterity of our LLM will begin to dawn over the horizon of our needs. I'm just floored. Like, there's so many things I want to keep going with, but
It's
we
Halloween.
also want to land the plane at a certain point, right?
The gray goose.
I'd love to know what it is that you look forward to in terms of places you want to do comedy. Like twice during this conversation, I've had to restrain myself from trying to look up Joe Rogan's phone number and call him and say, you need this guy on your show. Right. But
I'll give you the biggest hug in the world, Mark. You get me with Rogan.
I don't know how to call him. But I believe it's possible. I just have this crazy belief that if I got the right, I could call him right now. But it's not, that's the point. The point is I can think that I can do it. And that's the first step in bridging the gap, right?
It's a matter of time at this point. Where I do, I'm really loving St. Louis. So what Cox Out is working on right now, one is how to pull it out and when to pull it out, right? So on a stage when people are asking for it, not inappropriate times when you're supposed to, right? So learning when to take and talk about these controversial topics and when to execute on them, right? These are young men and women that have microphones. And if we want to spread a word, there's no better way than to start teaching these kids that have microphones and they have something that they want to share. So I think there's a ton of power in that. So how do I take that power to amplify the planet? So first thing we're going to do is create values, right? Just like we did for gladiators. The second thing we're going to do is just look at it like a boxing event. So we're going to start a competition right now. I'm looking for celebrity judges to make it enticable to come through. I've got some celebrity friends that I can reach out to, and if anybody's watching this and they want to join this particular goofy revolution, I'm, welcoming everybody. I thought about doing online voting, and I think that's got to be out because that's algorithmic. Trauma dump, we like that. If you're dopamine starved already, which I think our world is, they're going to click on the shit that gives them dopamine, right? Regardless if it's healthy or not. So healthy dopamine reception, I think, is something that we have to teach our planet. So the judges aren't only just going to judge on how funny it is or how long you watch it. It's about the value of the comedy and how you're presenting it and how you're talking about the edge of a blade with compassion and understanding for the other side of it, right? And I think that's the power of comedy. So I think it needs to be judged that way by an understanding group of individuals. So we're going to do a 4-city launch, and we're just going to have an open competition. We'll knock it down, and then the top 3 winners of that competition will be the showcase of the Cox Out Raw and Uncut first live show.
Nice.
And then that will be under so I can guarantee that we're coming from a place of love and spirituality in our comedy, because the judges will have curated this list of 13 comics, me being one of them, to go out. And we're going to, I have just these amazing ideas of pyrotechnics and go-go dancers and mixed media with, stage performance and music and, visuals and all these kind of digital nature in mix.
What 4 cities are you considering?
Well, because I'm here in St. Louis and the show will be here in St. Louis, unless somebody really wants to jump in and fund it. St. Louis, Indianapolis, Kansas City, and Chicago.
Okay.
Would be the first 4 cities. And then if that's when, When that's successful, then we'll do a larger one and larger one and larger one.
Okay.
Right. But this
I
is
love
just
how
the
you
first
caught
one.
yourself
And
there.
I think I can sell out a 1,500 seat arena with that approach on the live show. So, you know, when I'm sitting here thinking, I'm watching the normal business model of comedy, show up at the open mics, hopefully get a host spot, hopefully get a job there so that hopefully a headliner will meet me. Hopefully he'll like me that night. Hopefully he'll bring me on tour with him. There's just a lot of damn hope in that business model, right?
You know
And
what
these-
else there is time. Like in my experience with stand-up, you weren't really seasoned, and like compression, maybe 5 years, but really you're looking at 7 to 10 years to be a professional comic, someone who could
That's
create.
too long. I can be a doctor in 4.
Well, but you talk to comics, you know, that are professional and
Yeah.
can
Oh,
kill a room
professional
almost.
1-hour sets, absolutely. But I think you can get a good 10 in a year. Well, and either way, there is a ton of comics on the market that have a solid 10, that have a great voice, that
And all
can
you
be
need is
seen
6 of
today
them
and have
for an
no
hour.
opportunity for revenue.
You can do it in a year if you're willing to do the grind where you're hitting at least one open mic every night, maybe 2 to 3.
Oh, I hit 5 this week so far.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, then, but you know, if you're showing up, like when I first started,
Let's talk about it. Don't be about it. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go by your core values, that's when you make a choice, that's not even an option to not do it.
Right.
Right?
But you got to define what doing it means. Because when I first started, I thought, well, I'm showing up once a week. And after about 4 or 5 months, I was like, no, you got to go every fucking night. That's doing it, you know?
And then he reevaluated his commitment. And it was like, right.
Yeah. It's the most entrepreneurial evolutionary process I've ever seen in real time.
Yeah. And it's like you said, anybody can do it. You could be homeless. You could be a billionaire. You're going to have it is an equalizer, man.
Absolutely. And it is raw. It's wonderful. It's so beautiful. It's taught me more about life than anything other than my marriage and my son and my daughter. Yeah. Right. Like it's absolutely amazing to be able to do. And I'm very grateful to have whatever the hell happened to make me do this, do it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love it.
Oh, what a tremendous heart, and integrated with a beautifully magnificent intellect and your courage. All of these things, Ken, it's just such a rich energy field to be in. We are so privileged and grateful to have had you here, and we would love to have you back anytime for sure. So feel free, if you got something coming and you want to jump out and do some more podcasts with us, we'd love to have you. And right now, we're going to bring it home with a question that we ask all of our guests. It's a question that means a lot to us. And over the years, hearing all the answers is one of the most entertaining aspects of our experience. So here's the question. Foo Fighters or Eminem?
Which Eminem?
Marshall Mathers.
Oh, Eminem. Eminem.
Yeah. How come?
I mean, Foo Fighters is, I feel like a tried evolution of something that probably didn't work. And Eminem is just raw and authentic at a part that you can very see the id exposed. Wow. And I like that. And Foo Fighters is just surface level bullshit, I think.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your views with us and your aesthetic and your commitment to youth and to the evolution of humanity. What a surprising, rich ride this has been.
You guys have been amazing. And I so appreciate the name Moped Outlaws.
Recording stopped.